We're talking about holy instances. But you guys got so much perceptual junk in you that it's hard, you get all, do you understand that any opinion is an attack on God? Do you do the course, guys? I mean, I'm just giving you the sentences. Any opinion you have about your own relationship is an attack on reality. God doesn't know about it, but you do, and you attack him and he doesn't respond. You demand a response and he won't give it to you, so you curse him for not answering your prayers of death. He doesn't answer your prayers of death because he can't hear you. He doesn't understand being sick. He doesn't what does God know about sickness and pain and death? Nothing. You know about it. How about the devil? He knows about it. He's a force that's opposed to God. Does God know about him? Yeah. Then he's not all powerful if he can't do anything about him. If he could do something about him and doesn't, he's not all good. I don't want anything to do with a God that allows the devil. You have him. All you've done is projected your own devilship, your own separate association with yourself outside of you and given it an objective reality, the same as you've given God an objective reality. And you're caught between the devil and God. Whose side do you decide to be on? What qualities do you think that this consciousness would have, this evilness, that would be different from this consciousness? Obviously, this perfect, loving God is allowing this perpetration of this evil thing. That's absurd. That's sense. You have that if you want to. I would never know what sides to choose. Which side do I choose? God is going to have to define to me what he means by evil. If God will tell me, this is what I went through in my awakening for you guys that struggle with this, all I ever asked God was to tell me what I'm supposed to do. But he never answered me. How about thou shalt not kill? Okay. Is that one of the commandments of God? That's a commandment of man. God has nothing to do with thou shalt not kill. He doesn't know about death. I don't know where you hear this. That's Jehovah. That's the God of Abraham. That's not the God of... That's the first covenant, isn't it? That's the exchange. That's the idea of thou shalt not do that or this will happen to you. That's the idea of an eye for an eye, isn't it? That's the first covenant. No, this is a God of love. He knows not of death. He would never command you not to kill. He doesn't know what that is. How could he? Okay, now the basis of this teaching is that evil is only separation, and you are separate from God, therefore you are evil. But evil cannot be real, therefore you are not real. Now you can be happy. Well, be happy that you're not real, and then you can... used to be for you addicts. Some of you addicts that are here used to do the 24-hour book. And there's a lovely 24-hour book that says, wear the world like a loose garment. Okay, you're caught in a box of time and space. And the whole basis of this teaching is to allow you to relinquish your own associations with the thing that you are demanding redress for. All human consciousnesses are only grievances. You'll hold on to your past associations and attempt to change them in the present, and that's impossible to do because they're based on something that happened a year ago. How are you going to change it? If it's gone away, if you base your reality on what's gone away, what's good that's going to do you? I watch you guys go through counseling sessions in order to justify the veracity of your grievance, and it just really gives me a pain. You got an idea that you're going to form groups to justify the things that happened to you 20 years ago, and you get together and say, well, we were all beaten with lollipops, or I don't care what you tell me, you're going to justify yourself to hold on to the grievance instead of undergoing the experience of forgiveness. Some of these groups are support groups for support groups. They're coming up with a support group for a support group for a support group of children who had grandchildren who were alcoholics. And just nonsense. Anything to what? Keep a mutual identity rather than undergoing the experience of saying, that's okay. Well, after all, if these things hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't be this way. You're caught. You'll never get out of it. What a terrible situation to find yourself in. These things have all happened to you, and all of a sudden you're standing here and that's already happened. The transformed mind undergoes this. It discovers that forgiveness is forgetting. My mind that went through a transformation is very capable of remembering exactly the same grievances that my sister holds against the occurrences in my framework of time. You and I share a same time framework. My sister I'll tell my sister what a wonderful time it was to be alive in the 30s. I don't look that old, but that's because I underwent my awakening. And I say, gee, remember the family and all the loving things we did, and we would go and get a cold root beer. And my sister is, I'm telling you, what do you mean it's good? Your dad was drunk and he fell down the stairs and we didn't have anything to eat. We lived exactly the same experience. Exactly the same experience. Now, did I practice giving up the resentment that my sister exercises against my father? I love my father's weakness. How can I say this? I love him for being exactly what he was. Because if he hadn't been what he was, I wouldn't be what I am now. What did I do? I took the apparent adversity of the grievance and turned it into a benefit. This is the whole teaching. This is my whole teaching. I'm really giving it to you here, if you can hear it. Everything that could possibly have occurred to you in all space and time, every karma memory, most particularly the one of this, memory of this world, has brought you to this time, to this place, right now. Okay? All of those memories can be brought together, and you can call this forgiveness if you want to, so that you have the capacity to remember the now. To say, if that hadn't happened to me, wow, I wouldn't be able to be happy and joyous today. I wouldn't be able to be me because you listen to me. No matter what you pretend or what you do, you're going to be you. I'm telling you, you can decide the kind of you that you want to be, and that's by giving up the grievance of the associations with the past. The past cannot be corrected. It can be forgiven and forgotten. You'll go to your reunions, and the whole basis of your reunion will be based on grievances or associations of your family connections. You'll sit down in a chair and they can hardly wait to remind you of all the terrible things. The reality of the human race is based on coming together with declarations of the fights that the sisters had. Tell me, I have families. And finally, as you go through your maturation, you'll sit there and say, well, why can't we all be loving and loving? In fact, this is what you always did. Most of you were always the counselor in the family anyway, you see. Well, you see, you're making a little more progress in that regard. And finally, you'll be sitting there and they'll absolutely insist that you hold on to the resentment. And if you don't hold on to the resentment, they will inevitably attack you for siding with the other consciousness. And if you don't do that, they'll attack you simply for remaining neutral. See, the perceptual mind is a condition of attack and defense. I wouldn't want to be here. Listen, guys. These consciousnesses that are undergoing high spiritual experiences have no problems giving up the earth. Your value systems that are set on the grievance do not understand a transforming mind. A transforming mind takes a look at a human being and says, I'm glad I'm not that way. You hear me? I mean, they're really glad. I'm really glad I'm not a human being. I don't want to carry your death and grievances and the things you want. You demand that I do. You demand that you're going to give me an identity in relationship to what you think I ought to be with you, and you're wrong. Okay, my mind is different than yours. Your mind can be like mine. Your mind can become like these minds have become, but it's not there yet. That's a decision that you have to make through the laying down or the relinquishment of the things that you cherish here. Okay, there's no such thing as sacrifice. You're not going to give anything up. You can't lose. The idea of loss is absurd. Why would you lose the things you love? Nobody ever answers me to that. Till you die. So you can accumulate and use it up and get sick and die. Go ahead. I just mean, get sick, die. All you're doing is just who's going to stop you from doing that? You're using the power of the universe. The power that you're exercising is exactly the same as the power of God, because that's what it is. There is only one power of mind. You can take that power of mind and hold it in a perceptual relationship, but you can't make it real. Illusions combat illusions, not God. You don't believe that. You actually think that somehow you're addressing an issue of reality. You're not. You're not. You Course in Miracles people ought to look at what the Course really teaches. If the effect is not real, the cause cannot be real. You keep trying to give yourself a real cause and then say, well, my effects aren't real. That's not what it is. Okay, this is not a real place. Your conception of your association with yourself has no reality. This is the whole basis of the Course in Miracles. Okay, that this is not real. Now you say, well, why does the Course in Miracles give me a choice in this matter? It has no alternative, because it's faced with the impossible situation of your belief in choice. No choice is possible in this. If I can get you now to see with some degree of certainty that the enlightenment experience that you are undergoing is an inevitable, you'll stop making pseudo-unreal choices about your determination to die. You have no real choice, as taught by any awakened mind, to die, to be sick and die. You're trying to console that way. It won't work. If you give them that, they're going to take it. They're then going to tell you they're in a condition of free will where God gives them the right to get sick and die. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wholeness does not know of sickness and death. You better make that step, or you're just going to be out there consoling to death. Why? You have projected the image of your association onto your patient, and literally you're killing him by allowing him to express himself to you.